Greetings. This is Justin Allen, the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Welcome to the Elite Nurse Practitioner Show, a podcast dedicated to nurse practitioner entrepreneurism and achieving financial freedom, where I talk directly with nurse practitioners who need help. Listen up, our market is saturated. Jobs can be scarce. We are underpaid. We are undervalued. We are taken advantage of by the sharks within the healthcare system. And frankly, screw that. Sick of it. And it's time for a change. And listen, I'm here to help make that happen. We are powerful. We can forge a path where we are in control of our career and ultimately our financial and personal well-being. You do not need to submit to healthcare administrators and your doctor overlords. You do not have to take the measly salary. You do not have to work 50 to 60 hours a week. There is a different way, and I'm here to show you that path. This podcast is raw and unfiltered. I have not talked with the nurse practitioners in this podcast prior to the call outside of an email exchange to schedule the episode. What you're about to listen to is a consultation session between a nurse practitioner and myself. It is real, it is unscripted, it is unplanned, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about. Anything and everything can happen during our conversation. The nurse practitioners in these episodes are struggling with an issue in their professional or financial life, and they have reached out to me for help. My goal is to help a nurse practitioner with actionable advice that will enhance and improve their professional, business, and financial life. My other goal is to hopefully help my nurse practitioner sisters and brothers build a more productive, powerful, and free life. So I hope the content and information within these podcast episodes does just that. All right, on to the episode.
Hey everyone, Justin Allen here with the Elite Nurse Practitioner. Today we will be having one of these other solo podcasts, and then next week we should take it back up with some interviews. So today I want to talk about mostly what can we expect in 2026 in terms of practice and business, right? So what's going to be going on in 2026? So let's just kind of caveat this with saying that this year I think is going to be a little volatile in nature. The political landscape, geopolitical landscape, everything going on in the world, a lot of uncertainty in, our economy right now. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if many of you not necessarily have a decline in profit and income, but it might kind of plateau this year, might stay fairly flat. All right. So if that happens, don't be too surprised. All right. I mean, right now there are a lot of people are getting laid off and it's not really being reported. A lot of it has to do with AI displacement. A lot of big companies are cutting costs. AI is replacing a lot of people's jobs. So disposable income amounts might be low. We might be juggling multiple government shutdowns as well. I don't know about you guys, but I know at my men's health clinic, when the government shut down, we definitely saw a little bit of a drop, especially with new patients. But we're in an area where we have a lot of federal employees, defense contractors and stuff like that. So if there are more government shutdowns this year, that could definitely contribute to it. And overall, right now, the economy is, like I said, it's very uncertain. Inflation is fairly under control. It's still not at target, but it's not out of control for the most part. Okay, it has stabilized. Some areas are definitely seeing some inflationary pressures on it, and others are not. Like housing is really stabilized for the most part, but the big thing is it's the job data. So the Federal Reserve has two mandates, basically: keep unemployment low and keep inflation under control. All right. And so what they're concerned about right now is that unemployment is rising. Okay. The numbers that you see a lot online aren't completely accurate because it doesn't really take into account a lot of different factors. I'm not going to go over all those, but if unemployment starts rising and inflation stays where it's at, what you can see is a potential. I don't think we're gonna have a recession by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I do think that it could be just a little bit of a slowing economy. Projections for GDP growth this year aren't really all that great. A lot of projections in Wall Street are overinflated right now. Um, Earnings estimations for a lot of these companies are way overinflated. So again, I think this year you can expect potentially a real plateau in income this year. Okay. If you're growing, fantastic. Don't worry about any of this. Okay. Like if you grow this year, great. And you know what, guys? I could be totally wrong. Okay. Like I could be totally wrong here. All right. I'm just telling you what I'm hearing and what some other experts are saying, kind of what I'm seeing. All right. So if it stays flat this year, I wouldn't be surprised. Okay. If you do grow this year, great. You're doing something great. If you see a drop in your revenue this year, something's going on. You really shouldn't see much of a drop if you have established patients. Okay. You could, I mean, I know a lot of weight loss clinics out there definitely seen a, pretty significant decrease in patient volume. That's just because it's so saturated now. Everyone can get semaglutide and GLP-1s just about anywhere anymore. Interestingly enough, I was just in Mexico and I was at the airport. And in Mexico, you can go to pharmacies and just buy meds without a prescription. And so I was at the Puerto Vallarta International Airport, and there were some pharmacies inside there. And, I picked up some antibiotics and a couple other things when I was down there. Why not? It's all like name brand stuff. It's dirt cheap. Um, and they had Ozempic, terzepatide and stuff there. And guys, they're like, the prices on it were ridiculous, like ridiculously low. Okay. So like people who are traveling to Mexico can literally just go to these pharmacies and buy GLP-1s if they're already on it. You know what I mean? Like if they go there and they're already dialed in through you and they see this boxes of semaglutide here for $30 a box, I wouldn't be surprised if you probably lose that patient. You know what I mean? So anyways, though, yeah, I think that some declines in revenue are probably going to be more or less just a market saturation issue. Um, and people maybe just going elsewhere, cheaper options. Peptides now, you can see, I mean, you can get peptides pretty much anywhere online anymore. Not saying that you shouldn't be prescribing peptides through your practice. You definitely should because it is a great revenue driver. And a lot of patients do still value, compounding pharmacy grade peptides, and they do appreciate a provider, monitoring them, etc. But, a lot of peptides online, you can just get them. Now, the administration right now is trying to regulate peptides a lot more and kind of open it up. Now, if that happens this year, it's another thing I want to talk about for 2026. If the administration begins to regulate peptides, okay, it's going to open the door for us as clinics and practices to begin prescribing a lot of the peptides we used to. You know, a lot of the old peptides we used to prescribe all the time, like, TB 500 and, ipamorelin and BPC and like all these things we used to prescribe fairly easily through most compounding pharmacies. Um, you can't prescribe them anymore, but we're going to be able to prescribe those again. And so hopefully that will open up some revenue channels for many of you who might be struggling to bring on some new services to your practice. Okay. So, excuse me. So just kind of keep that in mind. Um, so yeah, I think that those are going to be some things to be looking out for from more of a macro viewpoint here. Okay. So again, this year might be a little bit bumpy, guys. All right, for many practice owners in terms of growing revenue and whatnot. If you are well established and have a good patient base and you have good word of mouth and that kind of thing, you probably are going to be okay. If you accept insurance, you're going to be fine. Don't have to worry about it whatsoever. I'm talking about more of like these really niche wellness cash based things. It could be a little bit of a bumpy ride this year, guys. Okay, so don't be surprised if it is. And again, I could be completely full of shit right now. Okay. Like, I could be completely full of shit. My prediction here is completely wrong. Okay. I mean, you never know. I mean, there are so many things going on in the world right now. You never know. If China invades Taiwan, we will have a recession and a world war. Okay. So it's like, who knows ultimately? All right. But don't worry about that. It's out of your control. You can do nothing about it. All right. The only thing that you can do is save money, live a little bit below your means, and just be smart with your money. Okay. If something bad happens, you shouldn't be ill prepared for it. All right. That's the whole point of the Elite MP here, is to live below your means, save money, have emergency funds, do this stuff the right way. If you do it the right way, something bad happens, you're not scrambling and freaking out. All right. Okay. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna get off my get off my pedestal there. But anyways, though, so those are some predictions that I kind of been kind of thinking about here. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. Now, moving into 2026, what are going to be some services that you really should be thinking about? Okay. Um, I think that we are moving into a lot more. I think longevity medicine is really starting to grow. Okay. And I think that this is going to be something that is probably going to grow a lot this year. Over the last 2 years, longevity stuff has really become a lot more mainstream. Okay. You can thank really two people come to mind for the most part here. Brian Johnson with Blueprint. Okay. If you don't know who this guy is, you really should start watching some of his YouTube videos. It's fascinating stuff. It's entertaining. If you don't know who he is, he's basically this tech billionaire who doesn't want to die. He spends millions of dollars a year creating these longevity protocols, and he sells some supplements and stuff too. And his goal is to reverse aging, and he's like successfully done this utilizing a variety of different lab markers and stuff. And he publishes all of this stuff for free. All his protocols are free. All the science, all the data is free. You as a clinician, if you're not reading this stuff, it's free, guys. It's on his website. Just go check it out. It's pretty fascinating stuff. You can integrate this stuff into your practice tomorrow if you just learn it, you know? So anyways, he's definitely one of the guys on the forefront here. And then Dr. Peter Attia as well. He released a book, I think it was like 2 years ago, The Art and Science of Longevity or Aging or something. Don't quote me on that. It's something like that. You should look it up. I'm sure it comes right up. I read that book, and it's some great stuff, guys. It's some really good stuff. So he's kind of on the forefront of it as well. Now, what's happening is that these guys go on a bunch of different other podcasts, okay? And they begin talking to these podcast hosts. We're talking about big podcast guys, like the Joe Rogan Show as an example, or Modern Wisdom and Andrew Huberman, okay? These are big shows, and this stuff is becoming very mainstream, okay? A lot of people are discovering this stuff through these podcasts. Like, I don't know about you, but I don't watch the news anymore. I don't watch TV. Like, I mostly listen to podcasts for a lot of my information. And this stuff's becoming a lot more mainstream, guys. And so I think there's going to be a place for this in medicine. And I think it's going to continue to grow. And I think that a lot of patients are going to begin looking for providers who are providing these kinds of services. All right. And the good news is that I don't think it's going to be something that's going to become overly saturated. All right. Because number one, insurance-based practices will not be doing this stuff. Okay. They are simply not reimbursed for these things. Okay. So it is a cash gain first and foremost. A lot of these things are out of reach for most average people. And by that I mean something on the along the lines of like a full body MRI as an example, as like a preventative tool. Okay, I'm actually gonna go. I'm actually gonna get one of these, just because, why not? I mean, I had money. I mean, you're a fairly healthy guy, so I'm gonna get one. Get a clean bill of health, hopefully. Like, you need a full body MRI. It's probably gonna find some, it doesn't matter who you are. It's probably gonna find some things. All right. Cardiovascular testing, doing elective echocardiograms and stress tests, carotid ultrasounds, vascular scans, essentially the rule of thumb with longevity medicine, guys, is that you want to rule out and prevent basically the top 10 killers of men and women. Now, those killers are a little bit different for each sex, correct? But you want to rule those things out. And so that's kind of what you're doing in longevity medicine. You're ruling out the top 10 causes of death. I mean, this is mostly metabolic disease, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. That's pretty much it. And, neurodegenerative disease. And so that's, to put it in a nutshell, it's pretty much it, right? And, if you're dealt a really bad card and get something super rare, well, that's just leisure luck. That's just the universe, guys. Sorry. Happens. But that's kind of your job here. That's kind of your goal. All right. That's basically longevity medicine in a nutshell. And so if you provide these services, it's a combination of both screening tools and then, exercise is a big one. I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things. I mean, the best thing you can do for longevity is exercise. It's all right. It's superior to diet. All right. It really is. Like, exercise is the best thing you could possibly do for your health. If you are an NP listener to this right now, and you do not exercise on a regular basis, you need to get off and exercise regularly. Every single day. Like, no exceptions. At a minimum, at least get 10,000 steps. Okay? Like, at a minimum. All right? But weightlifting and cardio, getting into zone 2. If you don't know what zone 2 is, look it up. I'm not going to go over that right now. Yoga, stretching. And then another big pillar here is good quality sleep. Like, sleep is becoming one of those things where through a lot of this longevity medicine and a lot of this research and studies, like, sleep now is being, the importance of good quality sleep cannot be understated, basically. Like, the difference between good quality sleep on a regular basis and not it's night and day. It is apples and oranges. I mean, the difference it makes in your life is, I can't even describe it. Like, I have really put a priority on sleep in my life now. I've always been a pretty good sleeper, but I never really prioritized it. And I really make it a priority now. And, I wear one of these little Ring-Con rings, and I check my sleep every single night. And once I've begun tracking my sleep, I realize just how much little things can really make a difference.
All right. I hope everyone's enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick break to thank everyone listening and also give a big thank you to all of my social media followers and email subscribers. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe to our email list at www.elitenp.com and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Email subscribers will receive updates on new weekly podcast episodes, multiple weekly articles we publish, new courses, and everything else related to helping you succeed. Remember, all Elite Nurse Practitioner courses are designed to help you build a niche practice, increase your financial strength, and to break free from the rat race. If I can break free and that other countless nurse practitioners can break free, then so can you. Additionally, please share this podcast with your other nurse practitioner sisters and brothers out there. The more NPs that venture out on their own, the stronger our profession will become. Now, let's get back to the episode.
For many people, drinking caffeine after 12 o'clock can really affect their sleep. For me, I kind of seem to be immune to caffeine. It doesn't really bother me. I could drink a cup of coffee at 6 o'clock and be in bed by 8. Another big thing would be like sugar, as an example. If I eat something sweet after dinner, like if I have dessert, okay, I'm not talking about like one cookie, one little Oreo or something. Like, I'm talking about dessert, like a scoop of ice cream and a brownie, something like that. It completely and utterly wrecks my sleep. It is crazy. Like, now that I'm actually aware of it, you know what I mean? Like, my HRV, heart rate variability, will go from 70 to like 45, like significant. The amount of REM sleep decreases. The amount of random awakenings decrease. Like, I feel it the next day. So, I'm going off a little tangent here, but anyways, though, like, sleep is another big driver here too. Deep breathing, resonant breathing exercises, like breathing exercises and meditation, that's another big component of it, right? And then you have the supplement side of it, the prescription side of it, prescribing like, I don't know, like 500 milligrams of metformin every day for, anti-aging purposes, as an example. Hormone replacement therapy and managing blood pressure. Like, it's all the stuff that you already know, but it's combined to prolong life, prevent cancer, prevent cardiovascular disease, that kind of stuff. So, how do you monetize that? Like, how do you monetize exercise? How do you monetize good quality sleep? Those sorts of things. It can be a little difficult to do that. So that's where you have to start being a little creative. And the point of this podcast is not to, tell you how to do this. I'm thinking about creating a course about it. But, if you are an astute nurse practitioner and you can learn some stuff on your own, podcasts and books, you guys can figure this out. So anyways, I think that is where a lot of medicine is going to start going in 2026. And like I mentioned earlier about it being out of reach for many patients, by that I mean a lot of advanced diagnostic stuff. Okay. Most people can't afford a full body MRI. I mean, it's like $5,000, doing an elective echocardiogram, cardiac stress test. Like, these things cost money. All right. So this is going to be more for like your high roller kind of patient. But I will say this, guys, there are plenty of people out there with money who will pay you to do this stuff. All right. Now, for the patient, the average Joe, the average Jane, what can you do for those people? You can create very simple protocols to just increase the value of what it is that you are already already providing. You can create a 5-page PDF on what you need to be focusing on and what steps you can take to improve your longevity, to improve your quality of life. And this stuff can be stuff as simple as exercise protocols, sleep protocols, different diets, etc. All right. So, I want you guys just to keep that in mind. I think that's going to be a big thing that you will start seeing more and more of in 2026, especially 2027 or the next 3 to 5 years. Okay. So if you are looking for a revenue diversifier in your practice, I think this is something you definitely should be focusing on. All right. Now, what else? I think that more high ticket concierge stuff is also something that many of you should be thinking about in 2026. All right. My goal is to help you guys succeed and to have a business that actually does well. All right. And, a lot of the stuff that we talked about, Elite MP has talked about and taught over the last 5 years, I hate to say it, it's still relevant. Don't get me wrong. It is still relevant. All right. You should still be offering HRT. You should still be offering some weight loss services. You should still be doing vitamin injections, etc. Right. Functional medicine as well. But you need to be thinking about some newer stuff. And my goal is to help you succeed here. And so I think high ticket concierge kind of stuff is going to be something that I suspect we will see more of over the coming couple years. All right. So I want you to be thinking about, how do you integrate a high ticket program into your practice? All right. This can be stuff, guys, like I'm talking about, it's $5,000 to get started. And included in that could be, I don't know, a full body MRI or whatever, like executive physical kind of level stuff. All right. High ticket concierge stuff. I was talking to an NP at one of our conferences a few months back, and she does extremely well with high ticket stuff in her practice, charging $3,000 a month. And, these are for very high roller patients. But the beautiful thing about this is that you only need to have 10, 15, 20 patients paying you that, and you're making good money, guys. Like, that's the beautiful thing about it. You don't need a huge volume, right? With HRT or weight loss, you need to have volume of patients to make good money, right? With a high ticket program, you don't, I've talked about this before about opening up like a concierge high, performance medicine kind of place here in Colorado where I live. And I think it would probably do pretty well. And, I don't want a job. I don't want to go be at a clinic 5 days a week. I'm cool with 1 day a week for very, very high ticket people. You know what I mean? I'd probably focus more like on men, and it's just kind of my niche. And yeah, I think that's probably what I'd focus on. But I would charge like $5,000 a month, and basically, I kiss your like, to summarize it up, I'll kiss your ass, right? Text me anytime you want, whatever you need, fine, I don't care, whatever. Here you go. You know what I mean? So, for that price, everything should be included, basically, right? So, if you charge $5,000 a month for a high ticket concierge program, hormones should be included in that. Maybe some either growth hormone, a peptide, etc. Okay, you give the patient what they want, essentially. These are high ticket concierge patients. Okay, so whatever that looks like for your practice, just be thinking about having a high ticket program. Okay, if you are looking to open up a new practice in 2026, that would definitely be something to be thinking about. It can be something very simple. All you need is one office in an office building or something. You do not need anything crazy. You don't need multiple rooms. You don't need supply rooms. You just need one office, a simple 300 square foot office or something, right? And you're there 1 day a week. Like, all you need is one new patient a month, spending $3,000, $5,000 a month. And before you know it, you have 10, 15, 20 patients paying you $3,000, $3,000 to $5,000 a month. You do the math. 10 patients, that's $30,000, $50,000. Boom. It's not that hard. You know what I mean? So I definitely think that is going to be somewhere that is probably going to grow in 2026. All right. I do still think functional medicine will continue to grow. Okay. Functional integrative medicine. I think more patients are looking for that. You're looking for those services, or just sick and tired of the healthcare system as it is. So I think functional medicine, integrative medicine is probably going to continue to grow. I don't see any issues there. More people are doing it, and I think that's a good thing. But I'm still not seeing a lot of just functional medicine, integrated medicine practices. So I definitely think there's probably a growth lever there as well. All right, so be thinking about that. But I think for most of you, in 2026, I would highly advise that you really focus on growth and scaling. Many people that listen to this already have a practice. And so this year, I want you to be really thinking about, how can I grow and scale the business that I have? How do I get it off the ground? How do I get it to the next level? Right. So there are 3 phases of a business in terms of growth goes. There's the startup phase, which is like the first 6 months, just getting a business up and running, getting some patients in the door, working out the kinks, and then 6 months to 24 months, basically. That's the phase where you're accelerating your launch. You are getting your systems in place. You are automating things. You are working out the kinks in your business. You are optimizing your business for growth. You're getting it to a place where it runs well. You are trying to slowly get yourself out of the business so it runs itself. You're just optimizing the business. That happens between 6 and 24 months. Okay. 24 months and beyond. That's where growth and scaling really begins. Okay. That's where you start hiring other providers, start seeing patients for you. That's where you begin, fine tuning your pricing strategies. That's where you begin setting up your practice so it's not a job anymore. It works for you. And you're setting up your business in a way to where it actually sells. All right. So that's kind of, those are the evolutions. Those are the phases of a practice, really, and most businesses, to be honest with you. So wherever you're at in that, I want you to really, really focus in on wherever it is that you're at. You need to focus in on accelerating your launch, optimizing your business, or really focus in on growth and scaling, All right. So really make 2026 the year where you do that, where you really put some focus in on that. If you are just starting your practice, spend this year starting it right. Okay. Don't just pick a service and just launch it. Okay. You need to do your due diligence, and you need to do your due diligence well. You need to succeed. You need to provide a service or product in your area that isn't very saturated. All right. If you are thinking about opening up a weight loss only clinic in 2026, I wish you the best of luck, unless you are just in an area where it doesn't exist. And there aren't very many areas anymore where there aren't, there isn't some kind of weight loss clinic or some kind of clinic offering GLP-1 or whatever. So really be thinking about, how am I going to start a business, a practice that is a little bit different? Okay. So keep that in mind, because I want you to succeed. I don't want you to open up some bullshit business and then you're emailing me 6 months later wondering why you don't have a single patient. Okay. Um, Telemedicine only in 2026 is not going to work. There are too many telemedicine only practices out there. I see more hybrid based practices, a brick and mortar plus telemed. I see far more of those succeed than I see telemedicine only practices succeed. For every 10 telemedicine practices that open up, I would say maybe 1 out of 3 of them actually succeed. For hybrid practices, that's, brick and mortar in a regional area, for every 10 of those that open, I would say probably 6 or 7 of them succeed. Okay. So your chances of succeeding are a lot higher having a brick and mortar location. It just is, guys. It separates you from the telemedicine practices, and it's a lot easier for patients to find you. All right. So I want you to be considering these things. All right. Be really thinking about this stuff in 2026, guys. All right. I want everyone to succeed. So 2026, to summarize all this up, it's going to potentially be a bumpy year. Okay. Again, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. All right. But my job is to just make you be thinking about, things here. Be thinking about, thinking of things objectively based off of the macro environment of what we see. Okay. I don't have control over it. You don't have control over it. All you have control over it is what you do with it. Okay. What's going on in another state, riots and protests and blah, blah, blah. All this is out of your hands. It's out of your control. So don't waste your mental energy on it. Okay. Focus on what you can control. All right. So just really be thinking about that. All right. Like it's going to potentially be a bumpy ride this year. Okay. And that's just the cycle of, that's just the economy. That's just the world. You have good years, you have bad years, you have kind of flat years. All right. I think this year is going to be kind of a flattish year for many people. Okay. So just be thinking about that. All right. And be really considering longevity medicine, concierge stuff, high ticket items. All right. And just be diligent here, guys. All right. Be diligent. Be thinking about what's going on in the world, how it can potentially affect your business, and how do you leverage what is in front of you. When times are tougher, okay, if it is a flat year or a down year, usually opportunities will present themselves if you are looking for the opportunity. All right. I have made more money in down years than I have in up years, because during down years, everyone's freaking out. Everyone's panicking. Everyone's scared. Do not have that mindset. Look for opportunity. Okay. I've made more money during down years than I have in up years, because I'm willing to take a risk and I'm willing to take a chance. And 2026 could be a flat or down year. And again, I could be completely full of shit, and it might be one of the best years ever. Again, you can't listen to any kind of prediction from anyone. The only people who have the highest success, highest prediction rate successes are weathermen, and that's for 3 days out. Everyone else has a poor history of predicting stuff. Financial advisors, finance gurus, economic gurus, blah, blah, blah. Okay. No one knows. No one can predict the future. All right. So keep that in mind. Okay. Hope everyone enjoyed this episode. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the show. Quick legal disclaimer. The content of this podcast is meant for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be used as legal, financial, medical, regulatory, or practice-specific advice. For information pertaining to your specific legal, financial, medical, or practice-specific needs, please be sure to consult with your lawyer, CPA, medical director, and or your state's practice laws and the most up-to-date clinical guidelines. As always, do your due diligence when it comes to any information found online and in podcasts. The content in this podcast is copyrighted by Galaxy Medical Southwest 2023 and cannot be duplicated, rebroadcasted, or reproduced without our written permission.